Across our country, the first doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine being delivered and administered. NBC's Jay Gray has a closer look now at what will happen next.
A frontline worker in New York, the first to get the shot there, the beginning of a massive vaccination effort across the country. The main lobby at Rush University Hospital is now a vaccination center.
We can vaccinate anywhere from 1,000 to flex up to vaccinate even 1,500 or more healthcare workers in those large-scale vaccination days.
An inoculation assembly line of sorts, beginning this week with medical teams and continuing for months here. As in phases, the medicine is eventually available for everyone.
Late February, in the March time period, I think you'll start seeing much more like a flu vaccination campaign, people going into their Kroger, their CVS, their Walgreens, Walmart.
With approval of a second vaccine manufactured by Moderna possible by the end of this week, and likely 2 more medicines after the first of the year, as many as 100 million doses could be administered by the end of March.
We're starting down the getting everyone vaccinated pathway and hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for the COVID pandemic.
A light that's much brighter now because of this new powerful weapon in the ongoing fight against the virus. Jay Gray, NBC News, Chicago.